Welcome to Keep It Off with Kiyo. You've lost loads of weight, and it doesn't matter whether you had weight loss surgery, whether you use weight loss injections, or if you managed to lose it organically. It's great either way, but now you need to discover how to keep that weight off for life. And you're going to find our podcast to be the only fact-based, no bullshit podcast that deals and addresses directly the challenges that you're going to face in keeping on track from here on in. I'm Mel Harris, founder of the Kiyo Method, and I am absolutely thrilled that you are all here. I hope that you're going to come away inspired and motivated. So let me know what you think, because I love getting your feedback. And if there is a specific topic or a question you'd like me to address, why don't you let me know on WhatsApp? You will be able to find me on all the socials, and the details of those and the website are all in the show notes down below. So don't forget, you know what you got to do: subscribe, like, and comment. Now, today's guest is a man called Paul Becque, who is actually a mindset coach. For almost 40 years, Paul conducted his life as if it were a personal development experiment. Now, they're his words, not mine. And despite facing significant struggles, including financial insolvency and moments of despair, these hardships fueled his curiosity to discover the tenets for success and fulfillment. From decades of research, Paul created a powerful system to help others become focused and intentional, overcome limiting beliefs, and deliver measurable outcomes. And since 2010, Paul has coached clients with transformational mindset strategies to instill confidence, inspire growth, and at the same time unlock their true potential. Now, I know Paul from old, and he has got the most amazing energy that I know he's going to bring to all of us. So, ladies and gentlemen, please let me welcome Mr. Paul Becque. So, Paul, tell me, obviously, my community are people that have suffered with obesity, and they have lost huge amounts of weight. But then at some point in their journey, they struggle to keep their weight off. And that's for a variety of reasons. But I believe that the work that you do with mindset and with all the different methods that you've got can help these people to stay on track, to be aware of when they're pressing the self-destruct button, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Now, I know that obviously conditioning and outdated programming is one of the pillars that you work with. And you teach something called CYT, which, unless I'm mistaken, is catch yourself thinking.
Correct.
Right.
Good memory, Mel.
I'll try my best. But
Gold
can you...
star student.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I just got a gold star. Hey. But can you explain what that means in simple terms?
Sure. So I teach a system called Engage. And the first thing is, it's an acronym. So E is for evolve. And ultimately, it doesn't matter what your issue is, you've got to evolve your mindset. You've got to change your thinking. Because if you keep thinking the way you're thinking, you get more of what you got. Simple. And so first thing you've got to do is recognize your patterns, recognize your thinking, recognize your emotions, and recognize your behavior. And if you can recognize that, so I call that self-recognition, then you've got the opportunity to self-regulate. Mm-hmm. And so one of the tools, probably the most fundamental tool that I use for self-recognition, because it's easy to understand, easy to get your head around, you don't have to buy anything, do anything, don't need an app, is CYT, catch yourself thinking. So basically it's becoming more aware of your thinking. And so when you wake up in the morning, you could just ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? And it might be positive, it might be negative. I am not telling you it's negative. You might wake up in the morning and start every day in a really good mood. It might be great. You might not eat, or just have the breakfast that you would like to have, but your problems begin at 10 in the morning, snack time. It could be. We're all different. And so that's why it's so important to catch yourself thinking. Now, don't be judgmental. That's the big problem too. Lots of people start thinking...
Judgmental to yourself, you mean?
Yeah, judgmental. Go, I'm always so negative. No, that's not the exercise. The exercise is just recognition. Okay, I get this. And then what we can do is start to ask ourselves why,
Yeah.
do a little bit of self-inquiry. Why do you think like that? Why do you constantly do this? Because once we can identify that pattern, we can change it.
Which is great, because I do want to talk about the why a bit later on, if that's okay.
Yeah.
But what occurs to me is that a lot of people, the thoughts they're having, particularly the negative thoughts, are so back in their deep subconscious, they're not aware that they're even having those thoughts. What's the first step they can take in real time to start recognizing their own thought patterns?
CYT. At any point of any day, any time. It could be you stop for a cup of tea. It could be you've just put the phone down. It could be you just fell out with a partner. It could be you just had another packet of crisps. It could be you've just put the telly on again. It just gets yourself thinking. And again, I don't want you to be judgmental and think, oh, I always do that, because that's not going to help anything. But recognizing your patterns gives us the opportunity, because we've all got patterns. You're quite right.
Yeah.
You talked about it being subconscious. So we just do these things. So they're habitual, they're habits. And we're all the same. So I'm no better than anyone else. We all operate in the same way. That's why this work is so powerful, because we all work in the same way. We've all got the brain and the mind, and we all grow up with mums and dads. And I know conditions are slightly different for different people, but it's all very similar, and we ultimately become a result of our conditioning.
Yeah.
Mum and dad taught us this. Sometimes we believe it, and we believe it intrinsically. Mum and dad might tell us to go to church on Sundays, and so now we've become a Christian, or maybe we went to a temple, maybe we went to a mosque. It's all the same thing. We're conditioned. And so as we grow up, we then go to school. Teachers, very powerful, very influential. Then we get a job, and then bosses or colleagues become very influential. Then we start dating, and partners can become very influential. And so what happens is that we decide, unwittingly, unknowingly, we're making decisions on what we believe. So if something happened and it hurt you, you're probably going to have a protection system. And if it worked, you go, oh, that worked, I'm going to do that from now on. And so ultimately we end up having this facade, this character, this personality that we play. And it seems to work for us until it doesn't, until we get to a point where like, I'm not happy. So I'll give you some really good examples, nothing to do with weight, but it's all the same thing. You know, for your clients, it happens to be weight is their issue, and it's probably emotion that causes them to do that. They're unhappy, and so they eat. Probably. Again, there's lots and lots of variations on it. But I had a client that I spoke to just recently, and he's multi-millionaire, very, very well off. He's telling me he loves his wife, loves his kids. He's got a great company, makes loads of money. Staff are great. Life's good. But he still feels empty. He's not happy. And you think, what?
Wow, yeah.
What? And most people would think that money is the solution. Money is the answer. And I think these days most people are aware that money isn't necessarily the answer, but it will make our lives a hell of a lot easier,
Yeah,
right?
of course, it helps if you have got money. But I think it's the same thing with the Kiyo community. A lot of us start out by thinking, if we lose weight, it's going to fix everything that's wrong in our lives.
Yeah.
And that is often, I say often, almost 9 times out of 10, not the case. But obviously I've done work with Paul. He's helped me an awful lot on my own journey. You helped me to become very aware of the way I think and the way I talk to myself. But I was completely unaware before I started working with you. And I think that's the same for a lot of people. So I just want to take you back to those first steps, or something that they might, if there's even a sign that they can look for that tells them, okay, I need to stop for a minute and do whatever it takes to register my first thought that I need to catch myself thinking.
Yeah, okay. So in the Engage system that I show my clients, the first step is evolve. So I'll just take you through the tree. So it sounds like simple, right? 6 steps, but actually even evolve. It's only a pathway. It's just a framework, because what happened, I've been doing this for 40 years. You know, I fell into personal development. Someone handed me a book and it changed my life. I'm 60 now. So 40 years ago. And so I've been doing this stuff for 40 years, and last 15 I've been sharing it and coaching other people. So it's become an intrinsic part of my life. But ultimately, what happens is most people just go through life and we're saying to ourselves, well, it's just the way I am.
Yeah.
It's who I am.
Yeah.
But what you want to do is ask why you like that. So if I take you through Evolve, you'll see the framework, and I think that will help. So it's 8 R's. The bottom one is self-repression. And so if you're repressed, and repression really a mixture of depression, which is your thoughts. I know people say, well, no, I mean chemically imbalanced. Actually, if you look this up, and I encourage your clients, your community, to jump online and Google anything I talk about, because if they don't believe me, if they just make their mind up, go, oh, you're just saying that, or that's blah, 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 then it's not going to help them. They've got to believe it. So I want them to go online, and everything I talk about is science. Everything I talk about is so much easier these days because of neuroscience, quantum mechanics, epigenetics. There's so many things that will help point in the direction. Go,
big long words there.
But it's just the new science. Yeah, there's a lot of science around the brain these days because we're all trying to work out what's life all about. So that's made things easier. But repression, ultimately, your thoughts create chemicals. Your brain, look it up, is a chemical factory. So if you're thinking happy thoughts, you're going to be producing happy hormones, and that's why people go to the gym. They get fit. It pumps their energy around. If you're thinking about a holiday or a great time you had, or a good song comes on and you start singing it, you feel your whole energy change, and they're pumping happy hormones into the body. If you're thinking about something that could go wrong, think about your situation with money, thinking about, oh, I ate this and that again, I'll put on another pound. All these sorts of things are going to create negative chemicals. Cortisol's the big one, and it'll pump that into your body. And then what happens is most people say, well, I'm feeling this way, that's why I'm thinking that way. I feel bad, but actually your thinking is creating your chemicals and the feeling. It's just backing it up. So it's kind of a vicious circle. It goes round and round and round and round. So repression is from depression and also suppression. Another big one is the fact that something might have happened to somebody. It doesn't have to be traumatic. It could be quite simple in most people's mind, but they took it badly and they framed it in a bad way. And so now they're going to hold those feelings down. Maybe a boyfriend or a girlfriend left them. And rather than feeling uncomfortable and getting over the emotions, they suppress them, they push them down.
So is that a bit like pretending that everything's okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you mask it.
Yeah.
So you just push it down and keep it under there. But that can make you very ill. And it might take years. But as you get older, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, suddenly it all comes out, or you become very, very ill. So repression is a big one. So if you've got any of those feelings, you're feeling suppressed, you feel like you're suppressing something, you know there's something going on in the back of your head and you remember things every now and again, or if you are feeling depressed, then that's time to get this sort of help. You really need help. That is number one. The next one up from that is self-restriction. And that's where most of my clients are. It's because they're going through life, but they know there's got to be more to it. They want more out of life. They want more out of themselves. But they just feel like they've got one foot on the accelerator and one foot on the brake. And so now they're going round and round and round in circles. And it doesn't matter how hard they try, they just can't seem to get ahead.
Right.
And so to a certain degree, they feel like they're a victim because they're trying. I'm doing everything and I just can't get what I want. Everyone else seems to be able to. So if you've got that going on, and I'm sure if I just call it victim mentality, most people are like, oh, that's not me.
Yeah.
But it might be.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting the results you want in life, there's another reason.
Well, I always say to my community, quite simply, if you want to get to destination A, but you're travelling on a road that takes you to destination B, why do you keep travelling on that same road?
Yeah.
At some point, you've got to change the road, the route, the journey to get you to where you want to be. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, you'll never get the results that you want, and you won't blame yourself. You'll be going, why is it? Oh, it's not my fault. I'm going and I'm traveling and I'm working, and I just don't get anywhere. Well, it's because you're not doing the right thing, isn't it?
You need change.
Yeah,
that's really what it's about, isn't it? It's that first step. Catch yourself thinking is about recognizing, so that we can then create the change.
Yeah.
We know what the issue is, because most people don't know the issue. They're not paying attention to themselves. So after self-repression, self-restriction, and the way out of those is self-recognition, which is CYT, catch yourself thinking, again, just one of the tools. And then after we catch ourselves thinking and we understand what the issues are, and we've identified them, we've become aware of them, we can then go into self-regulation. And there are 4 more levels after that, and ultimately it's to be completely and utterly liberated and joyful, but we don't need to go there today. But once you can recognize, you can regulate. And that's the key.
I was actually going to ask you, once they've recognized that first thought, they've caught themselves thinking, what is the next step? Okay, so I've just told myself that I'm never going to succeed at this, or I'm a failure. They've heard themselves say it, they've recognized it. What's the next step for them at that moment?
Okay, so again, I'll use a fundamental tool.
Yeah.
I call it HERO, so it's easy to remember. And it's a little acronym. So H is for halt, means stop everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've just caught yourself thinking, I'm on a negative spiral, I'm beating myself up again, whatever it might be. And you just want to stop everything and take a pause. So that could be 2 seconds. It might just be like, okay, I'm closing the cupboard door and not having the biscuits. It could be as simple as that. And I'll tell you the rest of the process in a second. Sometimes you might need 10 minutes. You might be talking to someone and you feel yourself getting really agitated. So rather than doing what you always do and end up arguing, you say, I'm going for a walk, I'll be back in 10 minutes. Other times it might be really bad and you can feel yourself, you're furious. So you might need to get out the room or get off the phone or get off the Zoom call, whatever it may be, and say, I'll get back to you tomorrow. And give yourself time to calm down.
And that's not just a distraction, is it? That is actually vital in helping you to take your first step.
Because what's happening, so I'll go through the rest of the system. It is a formula. So it's H dot, and the dot is a full stop, as in stop. So it just backs up the H. And I actually got a few military clients, and they love it because they say, in the military, they say, halt, who goes there?
Oh, right, yeah.
And that is the perfect question, because you're asking yourself, who's dealing with this event? Who's dealing with this? Yeah. So something's happened. Who goes there? Am I being my old self? Or am I operating the way I always do? Or am I going to come at this and be very conscious and make a proper decision? Yeah. So halt, who goes there really, really works with this. So halt dot E+R equals O. Okay. And the E is for events. The R is for responses, because most people will react. And then ultimately the O is for outcomes. So here's the way it works. Something's gone wrong. This event, in this case, happens to be negative. We've caught ourselves thinking. We know that's not what we want. So halt, stop everything. E is the event. Just think about the event for a moment. That's kind of where we are. Where are we here? I'm in a negative spiral. Jump over the R, go to the O, go to the outcome. What is the outcome I want? Well, I don't want to eat that packet of crisps or the biscuits or whatever it might be. I want to stay thin. I want to stay healthy. I want to keep the weight off. I want to be where I am. That makes me feel good. So what's the best way to respond to get that outcome? So it's only by pausing, it's only by stopping everything that we get that moment where we can respond. So I like to think of that, and I was taught this by Jack Canfield, who I worked with for 2 years, response ability. It's your response, your ability to respond that's going to get you the outcomes you want. But most people do what they always do, and they just, well, I can't help it, it's the way I am, and they have the biscuit. And so they're not going to get the outcome they want. Yeah?
Absolutely. And in fact, I know that there is another level to E+R equals O for you, but before we delve into that, I just want to say to you guys, this isn't all woo-woo, okay? I don't want you to be taken from this, oh, well, it's not for me, this is all spiritual stuff. It's really not. It's practical everyday living. And since I've been working with Paul, I have had 2 examples. One, when I was on holiday, I was actually meant to have a meeting with the general manager of the hotel. I remember telling you about this.
Yeah, I remember.
And I got myself worked up into such a state. And previously I'd said to Paul, one of my biggest issues is controlling my nerves. I get so nervous when I'm about to do something that for me is a really big thing that I'm paralyzed. I can't speak, I'm sweating, I literally stopped functioning. And Paul gave me a technique, which was actually a breathing technique. And when I was in the lobby waiting for the general manager of the hotel, I was shaking, I was sweating. I thought, oh my God, I don't even know what I was going to ask him. I don't know why I'm here. He's going to think I'm an idiot. And so I'm sitting in the lobby and I started to put into practice Paul's breathing techniques that he had taught me. And it absolutely worked. I found myself calmer, more centered. And although the nerves were still there, they'd kind of turned into like an adrenaline rather than nerves.
Yeah.
So that when the general manager walked towards me, I was able to confidently stand up and shake his hand. Even though I felt like I was faking it, I was able to do it. And then the conversation went really easily. And this week, I have had, quite literally, the week from hell.
Oh.
Whatever could go wrong has gone wrong. Believe me, everything. Business-wise, technology-wise, you name it. It's been a nightmare. And normally, when these things have happened to me in the past, I literally fall apart. I get very depressed. I give up on most things. I spend hours on the phone to my brother in tears. Why me? It's not fair. And yet this week, all I could hear were your words. The event is what it is. The way you react to that event is your choice.
Yeah.
If you choose to go downhill because of what's happened, that's your choice. You'll get the outcome. But if you choose to take a different path, if you choose to react positively, or even just confidently, you'll get a different outcome. And I was determined this week that no matter what life threw at me, I wasn't going to get down about it. I was, okay, this happened. I'm getting on with it. What do I do to fix it?
So you stay calm throughout
I
all these
stayed
problems?
calm throughout the whole thing. So, guys, this really is valuable stuff that Paul is talking about here. So, talking of E+R equals O, you've added an H onto that.
Yeah, that's the halt. That's the very
Oh,
first
that's
thing.
the halt.
Yeah. Halt, stop
okay.
everything. Because if you don't do that, then the whole idea is you stop everything so that you've then got the opportunity to think about the event. I like to think of that's where you are. The outcome is where you want to be. And so now you respond to that, like your journey, to get, so I want to be at B, not in A. So what's the outcome? I want to be at B. What's the best way to do that? Go down this road, not this road. Yeah, I don't want to eat the biscuits because I want to feel good. So a big part of this, when it comes to the weight, is definitely, without doubt, obviously emotions are a big one. We hear about emotional eating, but ultimately identity. So we're all creatures of habit. This is why this stuff works. This is why this stuff is not woo-woo. What we're talking about here is that we're all creatures of habit. So when you're a child, we said that you listen to mum, dads, teachers, bosses, colleagues, partners, all these things, and we're just making decisions what we believe and what we don't believe. But just because we believe it doesn't mean it's true. It's just something we've learned and something we taught ourselves and something we've decided to believe.
Absolutely.
And so if you're thinking, well, it's not my fault. I've always been overweight. It's just the way I am. Yeah, it's the way you'll be.
Yeah, my whole family's overweight. It's in the genes.
We can back it up. We'll find all the evidence we want.
Yeah.
But if you make the decision that you want to go in a particular way, then you can respond to that and change. And we're just creatures of habit. So the longer you've been thinking something, the more likely it's to be a deeply ingrained belief. But neuroscience will show you, you can look up the word neuroplasticity, we can change a mind anytime we like. And it sounds easy, right? Oh, change my mind.
Yeah.
Actually, sometimes people do change their mind very quickly, but generally it's what I call the snap. So partners left them. They were thinking about, I'm going to be better. I'll be a better husband. I'll be a better husband. I'll be a better husband. I'll buy her some flowers. But it's only when she says, I'm out of here, I'm leaving. I wish I'd changed. And now it's too late. I sometimes get people call me out, say, can you help me? I want to get a new job. I want to change jobs. So great. So I start giving them ideas, techniques, things that they can do. And they're not really doing it. They're talking about it. But it's then 4 weeks later, they've just called up and now, I've been made redundant. And they knew that all the time, but they hadn't said anything.
Right.
But now they've been made redundant. That's the snap. Excuse me. And now they've had the snap. Now they got to change. So why would you wait to be forced to change? I guess with health, it could be, maybe eating too much, not taking care of yourself, no exercise. And I'm not trying to tell anyone that I'm, perfect guy. I'm not by any means. But the fact is, if you don't take care of yourself, you could go to the doctor and they say you've got diabetes. Yep. And so now that's your snap. So now you've got to change. Or it could be worse. It could be you've got lung cancer because you've been smoking for the last 20 years. And that's your snap. And you've been talking about stopping for so long. But the fact is, we can decide to change whenever we want.
Yeah.
It's just that change isn't always easy.
Yeah, we don't have to always wait for the catalyst.
We don't have to wait. No, you do
absolutely.
not have to wait.
But what I think is that, and you'll tell me if I'm wrong about this, is that quite often fear is the one thing that holds us back. And if that fear, so for example, the fear of regain, for example, is kind of louder than their progress. So somebody that's lost loads and loads of weight, it's really visible. You can see how much weight they've lost, but they're so fearful of regain that it kind of drowns out the progress that they've made.
Yeah.
How can we help people like that they just don't, it's like they don't give themselves any credit for all the good stuff they've done?
Okay, I'll answer that in two ways. So first I'll explain why that happens.
Yeah, please.
So it's identity, ultimately. So if you've been large for some time, and then you've just got accustomed to saying that's just the way I am, it's who I am. As you said, my whole family's been that way. That may or may not be true. But people tend to become that personality. They become that identity. And they believe it's just the way it is. There's a book, I believe it's from the 60s, it's called Cybernetics, and it was a plastic surgeon that would help people really with things like burns, scars, maybe they've been in the military and they've been hit by a bomb or something, or burns and things. So he would help them and do the skin grafts and really help them and change the way they looked. But despite the plastic surgery, they still felt that they weren't corrected. They still had the same problem mentally. Psychologically, they didn't improve. And so that's why he wrote the book, because he realized that actually people are saying, well, it's my weight, and they lose the weight and they've still got the same problem. In this case, they changed their look, maybe got their nose corrected or got a skin graft taken care of, and it's still got the same problem. And it's because of identity. So if they've become to the conclusion that it's just the way they are, and it's just thinking, it's just the way they thought, and it's a pattern they've repeated over and over and over and over again, they're going to go back to it. So an analogy I like to help people with in a situation like this, let's say in this case it happens to be weight, is a lighthouse. So you've got a lighthouse, and that's built on solid foundations. So I would say if your clients have lost their weight and they're at their perfect weight, their foundations are in a really, really good place. So that's a brilliant head start, because lots of people have got to work hard to build the foundations. So if it's keeping it off, that means you already got the foundations in place. Brilliant, well done. Then the next thing is the lighthouse has got a beam of light, and that light's coming out. And you probably, as you've hit your goal, your target, you are a beam of light. You're bright, you're excited, you're loving life. But a lighthouse is there because of the fog. And the fog in this case is your emotions. And that could be nobody loves me, nobody likes me, I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't have enough money, or pretty much anything, because every coin has got two sides. So I could look at something and see the positive in it, someone else look at it and see the negative in it.
Yeah.
And so if you've taught yourself to see the negative, see the negative, see the negative, that's your habit. And so the emotions are going to come back in. And when the emotions, think of it as the fog coming in, and sometimes that fog is very, very, very thick. The light is still on, but it can dim everything.
I love that analogy.
If you're not careful, you feel like the light has gone out, but it hasn't. It's the emotions you've got to deal with. You shine through the emotions.
Yeah, that is a great analogy.
And then last one on it is maintenance. So like a lighthouse, you've got to care for it all the time. You might have to change the bulb now and again because it's out there in the sea on the end of a rock. You've got to paint it, keep it looking clean. You might have to fix some of the inside. So general maintenance. And I imagine, I don't know, I haven't been on a giant weight journey, but I imagine with your clients, they worked at it day by day by day. You put on weight, pound by pound by pound by pound.
Yeah.
And to get it off, it's the same thing backwards, right? You take it off bit by bit by bit by bit. And that's the maintenance. So to keep it off, just keep maintaining. So when it comes to breakfast, make sure you're doing a step in the right direction, not the wrong direction. When it comes to lunch, one step in the right direction, not the wrong direction.
Yeah, no, it is true. You know, losing weight is supremely difficult. Keeping that weight off makes it look like a doddle.
Right.
Because real life kicks back in after a while. You've lost all your weight.
The fog
comes back in. And it hasn't met your expectations. It hasn't fixed everything in your life. Yeah. And once the honeymoon period is over, those things start affecting us again.
Yeah. Can I just throw something in to make people feel, to make your audience feel that they're not strange, they're not unusual. And I like to joke with my clients and say, I'm sorry, you're just normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all human and we all operate the same way. Our brain, our mind is an operating system.
Yeah.
And just like we can upgrade an operating system, that's what we need to do, right? But most of us can't be bothered. We don't do it. So we're operating from the old way of thinking. And so that's why it becomes difficult to keep it off, because you're going back to the old operating system and you start doing the old habits. And of course, it's easy to do habits. What's called a habit, right? Yeah. It's habitual. We do it over and over and over again. It's just what we do.
It's familiar. It feels comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to make your audience feel comfortable that they're not different, it could be the same. People go to the gym. January is the famous one, right? Hundreds of thousands of people sign up for a year, going to go to the gym. This is the year I'm going to get fit. And they're going in January. I imagine it's the busiest ever in January. Come February, it's quieter. Come March, it's quieter. Come April, they don't even go.
Yeah.
Or they go once a week.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my goodness. That's why gyms love to get you in for a year if they can, because they know they've got the money even though you stop coming.
Yeah.
And why do people do that? We're creatures of habit. That's all it is.
And how do we stop doing that?
You recognize the pattern.
Okay. And
you regulate it.
Right.
Yeah. You get to see, what is it? Why do I always go for the biscuits at that time of day? What's going through my mind? Is it because at cigarettes, people say, I'm just used to holding something in my mouth and I'm doing it and it's nice to be on a break and I like going outside and talking to people. So find a different way to go outside and talk to people. Go out with a glass of water. Go out with a favourite juice if water doesn't excite you. So really the best thing to do, don't fight your old habits and try to stop them. So this is an important one. Trying to stop your old habits is looking at the past. What you've got to do, your attention is the key word here. So in Engage, I've told you about Evolve. Then you've got Nirvana. Nirvana is Buddhist term for life with no stress. So I like to think of it as heaven on earth. So what is
by all of us.
What's your dream life, right?
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Yeah.
And so in ordinary terms, that's a compelling future. What's your compelling future? Because when you've got a compelling future, if you put your attention on that, so in this case it's to keep my weight off, to stay healthy, because I know if I stay like this I could find the perfect partner, I could this, I could that, whatever the dream is, it doesn't matter. You don't have to lose the weight. If you're happy like that and it works for you, keep the weight on. It's entirely up to you. It's all choice, right? So if you want to keep it off, and I'm sure it's a healthier option, ask your doctor. I'm not a doctor, but create a compelling future and then keep your attention on where you want to go, not where you don't want to go, on what you want to do, what you want to become, because that is your new identity. When you look back in the past, that's your old identity and you can get pulled back very quickly.
Now, I mean, obviously, I'm sure there's many people listening to this thinking at least, well, it's easy to say. That must be common in a lot of people. What can they do to make it happen? Is it just a question of practice these techniques, practice, or, you know, how else can they actually think, okay, I'm going to stop thinking of the past, I'm going to plan for my future, all these wonderful things that will help them attain their goals? How?
So it's got to be a compelling future. So if it's just nice, you like the idea of that, you're very likely going to go back to what you did. It's got to be exciting. It's got to become emotional. You've got to really understand why you want that. So I always think being other people centered can be very, very helpful. So you might have lost the weight because of your partner. You might have wanted the weight off because you want to be around longer for your kids. You might have lost the weight because you need to be able to help mum and dad as they've got older. So there's all sorts of reasons why it might happen. Maybe it's because you want to find a partner. So there's so many reasons, but it's got
Yeah.
to be compelling. You want it to be emotional, and if it's other people centered, that can help pull you forward as well. And you're quite right, it is habits, so you've got to do it, repeat it over and over and over and over and over and over again. So there, you want to break it down to the tiniest little steps. So another system that I share with my clients, I call it micro mapping. So we create a plan, an action plan, and we break it down into the teeniest, weeniest little steps so that it doesn't seem overwhelming. And they can do 4 tasks every day, and they can start to move towards their goal. Now, the minute they start to get little wins, oh, I did that one, oh, I did that one, they start to feel better about themselves. And the more wins that they've got in their head, the more wins that they're thinking about, the more positive chemicals they're pumping into their body. So win after win after win is really, really good. Perfect example of that, social media. So it used to be long form video. Probably we used to watch half-hour videos. Then it got to 15-minute videos. Now we're down to these 30-second video clips that all the kids are on, and they call it scrolling. Scroll.
Yeah.
Why?
Doom
Because
scrolling, no less.
the reason for it is because social media have worked out, because they want your attention. They've worked out that if you're getting dopamine hit after dopamine hit, every 30 seconds you're having a little bit of a laugh or a giggle or go, oh, look at that cat. Oh, that's funny. Oh, it's dopamine hits. So you're feeling good. So of course you're going to do it again because we just want to feel good. So what you've got to do is create wins day in and day out. So you start to feel good about winning. You start to feel good about keeping it off.
And you have to give yourself credit for that win.
Absolutely, yeah. If you sometimes it happens to clients, they've had a big win and they don't even see it.
Yeah.
They're, what? How can you not see that?
Yeah.
So,
And so in terms of this micro mapping process, what's a good example of that very first step at the very top that branches off to all the others? What would the first step be as a good example?
let's say I was going to teach my kids French. So that's the big goal.
Yeah.
I want to learn French. Then I would break it down into smaller steps. And I think lots of people, when they're goal setting, they do this sort of thing. Okay, it's the next stage they don't do. So in my case, I say we're going to learn numbers, we're going to learn colours, we're going to learn what you get at the butcher's, you're going to learn what you get at the bakery.
Yeah.
And lots of people will do that. They say, oh, I want to keep off the weight, so I'm going to eat less, I'm going to exercise. It's very fundamental. And they're like, that's it, they stop there. But in my system, you go to the next level and you break it down. So what does that mean? So in the case of learning numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to whatever number we want to get to. So let's say 7, because we're going to do it for a whole week, and they can learn a number a week, a number a day. And then once we've done that, we can move on to colours, and they can learn 7 colours in a week. And then the next day we can move on to 7 breads that they get at the bakery. Then we can move on to 7. So ultimately, they're just learning tiny little bits.
Yeah.
A word a day. Can you do that, kids? Yeah, we can do that. And by the end of a week, they've learned 7 words.
Brilliant.
So now they've learned colours. Now they've learned numbers. Now they've learned butchers. And ultimately, they do that process over and over again with all the different things. They've learned French. And the great thing is about this system, you're breaking it down into such small steps that it's very obvious it's achievable. So you feel like you can do it. That removes overwhelm right away. But you could even have a goal that you didn't think you could hit. So let's say I said to you, you're gonna build a boat, and you'd be like, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
Fine. We'll start with the micro steps. And actually, the perfect example of that is flat pack furniture. So you're going to build a wardrobe, right? Well, I've never built a wardrobe. All you got to do is follow the diagrams. So they are the micro steps. Little by little, you put, I've got the base. I've got to put 2 screws in to put the first side on. And now I've got to put 2 screws in to put that side on. Now I've got to put the top on and put 2 screws either side. Now I've got a carcass.
Yeah.
And it will be the same with your boat. So we've got to do this, and this. I've got a cabin. Now we've got to do this, and this. I've got a hull. Now I've got to do this, and then eventually you piece it all together.
That's a really good way of looking at it. Another great analogy. Thank you. So guys, that's what Paul is saying is effectively this micro map. It's like your instruction manual. It's a piece by piece step of how you move to where you want to be. A really compelling where you want to be. So that's really good. I love it when we can break things down to really base levels so that it resonates with all of us. That's really good.
I think that is a really important feature for me of my work, because I promise you, when you're on the calls, you probably see the hundreds of books behind me.
Yeah.
And they're all great. They're all about mindset. And this was years ago now, probably 20 years ago. I thought, why is it these books are all great, but they don't resonate with everybody? And ultimately, when you've read so many, you realize they're all pointing at the same thing. But actually, what they're trying to do is get you through a different perspective, because the way you see life is different to the way I see life.
Yeah, sure.
You know, we could be in the same room. You could have been nervous about doing this today, and I could have been really excited about doing this today. But it's exactly the same thing, just different perspectives. And all these books on self-help, personal development, as they call it today, they're all pointing at the same thing. And it's the fact that we can change our mind, we can change, but it's not always easy because we're all creatures of habit.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to be careful of not distracting ourselves from what we need to do. You know, I've been guilty of this. I've wanted to look into something in more detail, but I haven't just gone out and bought one book. I've bought 10 books, and I've done research on ChatGPT and Claude and Google Gemini, and until I'm actually so overwhelmed with stuff, I don't know where to start.
Yeah, down the rabbit hole.
Absolutely. And that is distraction technique, right?
Yeah.
And it's a bit like self-sabotage and self-destruct. I guess they all come under the same kind of umbrella.
Well, it's because it's comfortable to learn.
Yeah.
So you get lots of people that take course after course after course after course junkies, they often get called, because it's comfortable learning. Because you're not doing.
You're not doing.
But you
Absolutely.
feel like you are. You convince yourself
Yeah.
you are. And again, that becomes a habit. So once that becomes a habit, like if you're going down the rabbit hole is a habit, you've taught yourself that habit and it's worked for you because it's kept you comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do that again. And you might not be telling yourself that. You know, no, I need to learn, Paul. I've got to understand this. But really, you're fooling yourself and you're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So the key there is hero again. The event is, I'm going down another rabbit hole. Stop everything. And you might need a minute, you might need 10 minutes, you might need a day. What's the outcome I really want here? Okay, I just need a bit of information so I can get podcasting.
Yeah.
So find out what it is you need to podcast, just the basics, and get started.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the time we then go into perfection. Well, I need to know this, no, you don't. Just get going. Get started, and you'll get better and better and better as you go along.
Yeah, as Rob Moore, who we both know and love, says all the time, start now, perfect later. In fact, I think he even wrote a book about it.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right.
Yeah,
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is quite an interesting one for a lot of my community in that they have lost a lot of weight, and what they have found is changes within their environment. So, for example, people that they may have known for years or family are treating them differently. It might be fueled by jealousy. It might be fueled by their own inadequacies. And it could also be fueled by the fact that when a lot of people have lost a huge amount of weight, they change themselves. They become more confident, more vibrant. They start living their lives. And the people around them aren't used to that. They like the old them. How can you help someone to stay really strong when they're faced with that kind of toxicity, which is what it really is, from people that they love and care about?
Right.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it is hard. So ultimately, the word selfish comes up.
Okay.
Yeah, but selfish is a good thing. So you might think, hang on, is it? Because you can't be selfish.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I know the many times I've been called selfish by people in my family. It's always had a negative connotation. They never said it as a compliment.
Yeah.
So you grow up
You feel
learning
bad, right?
that selfish is a bad thing.
Yeah. But actually, you've got to care for yourself. So I love the analogy of being on a plane. The plane is going down. They drop the masks. What do they say? Put your mask on first and then help everyone around you.
They do,
Because if you can't breathe, you ain't helping anybody. Yeah. And so I'm going to go back to the Lighthouse analogy, because I sometimes get this from my clients. They say that somebody said this specific term just a few months ago, and it really rang home to me. They said, you're relentlessly happy. How do you do it? And I'm like, I'm just happy. This is who I am. This is what I love to be like this. This is my natural state. Yeah. Ask my kids. I'm like this all the time. So much so it annoys them.
Yeah, of
He's
course.
always happy. How do you do it?
Yeah.
And it is. I'm a creature of habit, right? So I'm no different to anyone else. This is what I've taught myself to be like. And it's not facade, because that's something we can learn to do. You can learn to put a face on and learn to be like that. But then when you're on your own, you're miserable. That happens too. But this is natural for me. And so it is about being a lighthouse. In fact, because what they said to me hit home so hard, I've got 2 mentors myself, and I reached out to one of them. And she said that if you're a lighthouse, you're beaming with light. You do not want to come down to their level and turn your lights off, because then you can't help anyone. So it's just like the air, the mask coming down to get air, exactly the same idea. If you turn your light off, you can't help anyone. They're going to hit the rocks. So you got to keep your light on no matter what. So when people are having a bad time, doesn't mean if somebody told me they're depressed, I wouldn't be like, woohoo, you're depressed. That's probably going to piss them off.
Yeah, big
right?
time.
But you can change your energy, but you can still stay relentlessly positive. So even though they're telling me how difficult their life is, and sometimes my clients, are in deep, deep trauma. They've had very difficult lives. And I will just share this very briefly. I'm not going to go into detail, but my own childhood wasn't great. It was tough. My old man used to tell me I'd be nothing. And I'd use that as a driving force to become something, if I'm anything. But hey, I just became a happy person.
I was going to say, you're happy, so yes,
Yeah.
you have achieved.
Yeah,
something.
so it was a big driving force for me. And I think it is. I've just learned to keep my lights on no matter what. And in fact, I heard the line, it's not my line, I didn't create it, but somebody said to me just a few weeks ago, I think it was Lisa Nichols, she's quite a well-known speaker, and she said, if somebody says you're shining too bright, tell them to put their sunglasses on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So yeah, you can't really help people if you come down and they're depressed and now you're depressed and you're feeling really sorry for them. It's not going to help them. You have to be relentless and almost be the shepherd and take them out of the darkness into the light.
So are we saying that people that are faced with that kind of reaction from their kind of nearest and dearest have to show them the way, or I mean, that feels like quite a responsibility.
The selfish part is that if you're happy, stay happy.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone else affect you. And that is the selfish part, because you might feel selfish and your old habitual way of thinking might be, I shouldn't be, it's not fair of me to be happy and everyone else is miserable. But ultimately, we're all our own little energy packet. And so you're running your life. It's your life. You've got to make it work the way you want it. And obviously, in relationships too, if I'm not happy, well, then how am I going to make my missus happy?
Yeah.
The other half, she's not going to be happy. So by being a happy bunny all the time, that seems to spread out and bleed into everybody else. And I am in a happy environment at all times. I don't want people to think that nothing goes wrong. Somebody drove their car in the side of me. I'm probably going to be a little bit shaken up. I might even be annoyed, but I would stop everything. What's the outcome I want? I just want to make sure everyone's all right. It's just a bloody car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get out and you just got to constantly, I have to do it all the time. You have to constantly keep yourself in the right place, because it's very easy to get caught off guard. It's very easy to get sucked back into your old habits. It's very easy to, whatever you used to do, get angry, get annoyed. Yeah. I'm thinking of another idea, and that's like drinking. When people drink, so it's slightly different to food, but at the end of the day,
it's an addiction.
Very similar, yeah. And I always like to think that people, when they drink, it's a amplified version of them. So I am to be a very happy drunk, my missus will tell you. Yeah, because I like to have a drink. And at a party, now he's on the floor doing Michael Jackson. The kids are like, oh, God, Dad, what are you doing? Yeah, I'm like, woohoo! I'm amplified. I'm even worse. You think I'm relentless now?
Wow.
See me when I've had a drink. And then people that are angry are an angry drunk.
Yeah.
And if you're already sad, you're probably going to be even sadder.
Oh, I don't know what that says about me. I fall asleep when I have a drink.
Oh,
Maybe I'm a sleepy person.
One of the 7 dwarfs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I do
you're
think
right.
that's an amplification, and you've got to learn to be that lighthouse, because you've got to come first. Be who you want to be who you are, and then by being your best version of you, you're going to get more of that around you.
Yeah,
So
and
it
not
is
let
difficult when
people
it's family.
side rail you. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. It's much more difficult when it's family. But you have to stand your ground, and you have to let people realise that this is who you are now. It's always who you've been, but it's been suppressed up until now.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is now the real you, and you're not going to let go of that person. You love that person, and they're going to have to get used to it. It's their problem. It's their problem, not yours.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't want to. I know if I get onto this, I'll keep going for a long time.
Go on,
but I started telling you about evolve.
Yeah.
And I showed you the first 4 hours, but I didn't do the last 4. And actually, what we're talking about right now seems like an appropriate time to share the next levels. So we went from self-repression, self-restriction, self-recognition, self-regulation, and we can stop there. So I don't have to take my clients to the top of the mountain. The graphic is a mountain. And it's a mountain because the higher up you go, the less people are there. There's fewer and fewer and fewer of us. But the higher up you go, the bigger picture you see and the better the view gets. So there's lots of reasons why it's a mountain. It's metaphorical, but there's a lot of real good reasons behind it. So once you understand that you can recognize your thoughts and then you can regulate them, that's really important. There's no point going further until people get that. But once they fundamentally get, hey, I'm taking control of my life here. I'm recognizing what I do and I'm regulating it. So they've got control of their life. So if that works for my client, I'll stop there. But once they get those two, the next level is called self-reflection. And that's not reflecting on your life. I call that self-analysis and self-inquiry. It's the fact that the world is a reflection of your thoughts and your feelings. So this is a big one. I mean, this is giant. So once you can see that, okay, I can see what I'm thinking, and by changing that, using E+R O, for example, I'm getting the results I want. We then go on to self-reflection, so that they can now see that the world is a mirror, and they start looking for that. Is that true? So just this morning, at 7 a.m., I had my first call, my first client this morning at 7, and he's had a giant light bulb moment. He's just won a big law case, and I talked to him about his thinking, and was it the outcomes that he was expecting? And he's like, yeah. So I said, can you see that now? It's mirrored what you expected, you got. He's like, oh my goodness, I can see it. And then he said, and yesterday this happened, and yeah, because of what I was thinking, that's reflected back to me as well. So now he's starting to see that. So actually self-reflection is a deeper version of self-recognition, because he's recognized that pattern now, and he can see that is how the world operates. So then we go to the next level. So once you can see and believe that the world really is reflecting back to you what's going on in your head and your heart, then you go to the next level, which is self-reverence. And reverence is a deep version of love. So yeah, you want to love yourself, but you want to love your family no matter how horrible they're being to you. You want to love your boss, love your friends, love everyone around, love your life. Because the more you love,
the more love you get.
The reflection's going to come back, right? So get that then regulation. You regulate. So you understand, you recognize that the world's a mirror. Now you regulate it by love, 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 love. I'm going to love everything. I don't care. Why? Because it's for you. And it's what you're sending out is what's going to come back to you. And then the last two, just to share it with everyone, we never have to go here, and very few of the clients do, but I found that the richer they become, the more money they've got, the more that they really are creating their own life. And they're like, I got everything I want. Then, so I don't know if I mentioned this on this podcast, but just a few weeks ago, did I say this already? A very rich client of mine, he's got everything. Got a great wife. Yeah.
But he feels empty.
Yeah, and he feels empty.
Yeah.
So I thought I might have mentioned it earlier. So he calls up and he said he's very, very unhappy. And so actually, you realize their money isn't the solution, and buying all this stuff isn't a solution. You're just trying to fill a hole. And that's really what he's been doing. So becoming successful, he thought would do it, but it hasn't. Getting that car, I thought might do it, hasn't. Being happily married, that might do, no, it's still, and it's something inside. And that's when this final level really comes into play. And it is spiritual. So it's self-realization. And that's coming to terms with, and lots of people might be on much lower levels, but understand this already. And that's that we are spirit having a human experience. There's no doubt about it. We are spirit. And I guess some people might be, oh, we're getting woo-woo now, spiritual. Yeah. But you cannot deny it. We're spirits having a human experience. And even when people say, I get that, I get it, but I'm still not, I don't feel liberated, I don't feel free, I'm not enjoying life to the level I want to, then that's because you've only recognized that we're spirits having a human body, a human experience. Now you've got to regulate it. You've got to become it. And so there's this transitional period where you have to work on these tools so that you can actually start to feel it and settle into it and go, oh my goodness, I get it. And when you get to that, I call that self-revelation. It's like the universe reveals itself to you.
Yeah.
Then you're just free.
Yeah.
Because you realize all this stuff like making money and working hard and I'm going to be a good person. It's all rubbish.
Yeah.
It don't mean anything. You're going to die anyway. So go and have a good time.
Recognize what you really want from from life for yourself.
Yeah.
Not what you think you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and you said something actually about giving out love, especially like to family who might be horrible and stuff. And I think that's actually really an important point. Very often people are so angry with people or things that have happened in the past. They carry that anger forward. They can't let it go. But from what you're saying today, that anger is only hurting them.
yeah.
It's not hurting the person that upset you all those years ago or the event that happened that, I don't know, destroyed everything. It's only, and you have to learn to love, to forgive, to let go. Would you say that was an accurate?
Yeah. I'm trying to think the best way to explain this to you. So ultimately, we're all looking at life through our own filters, our own lens, our own experience of life. So if you were to say something horrible to me, I'm just going to let it bounce off because I've taught myself. I absolutely know that's just your opinion.
Yeah.
Sometimes we hear people say that, that's just your opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's true.
It is.
So it's my choice if I get offended or not. So you could say, I don't like your jumper. Good. It's mine.
Yeah.
What do I care?
You don't have
but
to wear it.
Well, that's not very personal. That's just the jumper.
Yeah.
But, if you said to me, oh, you're putting on weight, well, again, I wouldn't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
But someone else might get really, really offended.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're all choices. And when you recognise that they're your choices, they're your filters, you're deciding what upsets you and what doesn't, I've just decided to let it all go. What do I care what you think? You're welcome to think that. I don't care if people listen to this right now and go, that guy's talking a load of tosh. Great, I can't help you. But if you resonate with it and go, oh my goodness, this guy can help me, great, then I'll help you.
Yeah. But, I mean, how can Engage and all of your platforms actually help people that are kind of blocked to everything? I mean, I know that I will speak to people within my community, within my family, and say, yeah, but look, let it go. Don't let it bother you. Don't let it worry you. I can't help the way I think. I can't help the way I feel. Or, yeah, I know I've got to do that, but I don't know, I just don't do it. They seem to be closed off. How can we unlock those doors for them?
Yeah, I love the terminology you're using because it is, and we all do this, it's as if we're in a prison in our own mind.
Yeah.
But it's just your thoughts.
Yeah.
It's just what you've decided to believe. So when you get upset about something, you go, well, that's the right way to do it. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, is it worth getting upset about? Very famous term. I think Buddha said it. I laugh because my wife always says, is that true? Because I make stuff up and say, Buddha said, and I'm making it up. And now she's caught on. So she says, is that true? But I believe Buddha did say this one. Or at least it's a famous quote that's said to be Buddha. He who picks up a red hot coal to throw at someone else burns his own hand.
First.
Yeah. So
great.
if you're picking up that hot coal because you want to throw it at that person you don't like, you're going to burn your own hand. And once you understand that if you're feeling upset, you're feeling angry, but you're saying, well, you made me do that, you're making me feel this way, you've lost control. You're giving your power to somebody else. And that's why we're talking about being the lighthouse. Keep the lights on. So you can you're the fog. Yeah, you're coming in trying to make me upset, trying to make me angry, trying to annoy me. That's the fog. Just keep the light on.
Yeah.
The fog will come and the fog will go. Fog off.
Fog off, absolutely.
I've never said that before.
So really, I think if we change our mindset, we lessen the risk of relapse into old behaviour patterns with these simple changes. And obviously, we've kind of learned today, I think that what people are going to take away is that they have to be aware of the thoughts that they're thinking and realise that they're having a negative impact on the way they move forward. Yeah. And a lot of people will have tried to do things over and over and over again and failed in their minds. That's what they would call it. They haven't achieved what they wanted to achieve. And so they've lost faith in themselves. They don't trust themselves to be able to make these changes. I know, having worked with you, that of course we can make those changes if we really want to and if we really work at it. But again, what would you say to somebody who's just lost faith and they don't trust themselves anymore? That's just a nugget. That's just another negative thought. Yeah. Obviously, we can see that clearly, especially sitting here. But that's what often happens, isn't it? A lot of people will just throw another negative thought onto negative thoughts for a reason why it won't work for them. They can't do it. They won't be able to achieve, etc.
So a couple of reasons. First of all, the brain is designed to help you prove that you're right. You know, we often get into trouble because we're busy proving ourselves right. So if you want to believe something, your brain is going to help you prove that. So that's why it's so important, like positive thinking, which has been battered around now for almost 100 years.
Easily. People
kind of think it's just blah, blah, blah. But actually, it's very, very important because it means you've pivoted and you're looking for the positive rather than the negative. And the reason that's important is because if you are looking for the negative, you're going to find it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we often joke about let's say you've gone out to buy a brand new white Fiat Panda, Fiat 500, I think they're called now, then you're probably going to start seeing them all over the place. You decide to go and buy a red Ferrari. You're going to say, hey, I can't believe it, how many Ferraris I'm seeing. It's because your attention is on it. And so this is really, really, really important. Where you put your attention, if you've got your attention on positive thinking, you're going to find more proof of that.
Absolutely.
So in the back of the brain there's a thing called the reticular activating system, the RAS, R-A-S. And the RAS is like a heat-seeking missile. So if you put your attention on, I'm going to work out how to make a great coffee cup, then you're probably going to do that. But if in the back of your mind you're saying, well, it never works for me, it never works for me, it's going to prove you right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's really important to understand that where you put your attention, if you know you're in that negative spiral, that's why we catch ourselves thinking, because, I am thinking negative. That's not going to help you because your attention's there and your brain's going to do everything it can to prove you right. Yeah.
And that's very true. It must have happened to you guys because I know it happens to me all the time. I will see I like the car analogy, but I will see a car that I've actually never seen before. And then suddenly there's like 3 on the trot.
Because it's on your attention.
And that's because I'm now aware of it and I'm seeing them.
Yeah.
So it's very true.
Yeah. So that's the first thing to understand, that you are going to get more of what you're thinking about because that's where your attention is. So attention is really important, and catch yourself thinking is a simple tool, really easy one to remember to see where your attention is. What am I thinking about? Okay. So you want to then pivot and start thinking about the things you do want rather than what you don't want. And I've forgotten your question.
Fair enough. I like the fact that you could distract yourself in that way.
I really have forgotten what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was basically saying that for a lot of people, they will add negative thoughts onto negative thoughts onto negative thoughts because they have lost faith in the system, and also in themselves. They don't trust themselves.
How would I help them?
And how would you help them? And that's when you came up with this wonderful analogy of of the RAS and
Yeah.
how the brain wants us
Yeah.
to,
Well, actually,
to be
that's
positive.
not an analogy. That is factual.
That's factual, right. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Reticular. So if anyone wants to look it up
Yeah.
online and read about it, reticular. And ultimately what that is, it's a filter, because we have around 11 million bits of information coming into the mind every second.
Yeah.
You know, mostly through our eyes, but then through our ears, through our feel, our touch, all those things, our 5 senses. And we've just been overwhelmed. It's so much going on.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So your RAS reduces it. It's a lens. And so it's just picking up the information it needs. Like, I don't need to know there's a plant behind you. I don't need to know there's a monitor over there. I don't need to know so it's my attention is where I need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And your reticular activating system is almost like a torch. So you're shining it, and where you're shining is what you can see.
Yeah, and it filters out everything else.
And everything else is out the way because you don't need that.
I remember one analogy you gave was a group of people in the room, and you say to them, how many people are wearing a green jumper?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you finish this because you know it better than I
Yeah,
do.
so and your viewers can do this at home, or listeners can do this at home. So if they look around right now for anything that's green, we'll go with the green. Look, and so I'll give you about 10 seconds, get as many things as you can, and then I'll ask you to tell me what those things are. So look for green, look around the room, anything green, might be the carpet, might be the ceiling, might be the wallpaper. Just look around for green, for green,
plants.
for green, for green.
Yeah.
I'll give you another 3 seconds, green, 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 looking for as many things as you can that's green. Okay, now tell me what you saw that was red. And you generally go, I don't know, I was looking for green.
Yeah.
Exactly the point.
Yeah.
So you get what you've put your attention on. You're looking for green, you're going to find it. So it's evidence. You're looking for evidence to prove yourself right. So if you're in a negative spiral and you say it never works, it's just the way I am, you're going to prove it right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's important to pivot into the positive thinking. So what would I do for people that are saying, it never works out for me? Let's start making a list of all the things that have gone right. Let's start to put our attention on, oh yeah, it's not that bad. Oh yeah, I was good at this. Oh yeah, I've done that. I've done this. And now suddenly it's like, okay, yeah. And then we can make a list of all the bad things too. If you want to do that, personally, I wouldn't even bother.
Yeah.
Let's focus on what's going right. And generally, life isn't as bad as people think, but they feel like it's really bad because that's what they're focusing on.
Yeah.
And if you keep focusing on that, I bet you're going to get depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just look for the good and
Yeah.
look for that possibility, that potential, that future that you could create, and you can
Yeah.
start today.
And for you guys out there, you can start with one tiny win. Look how much weight you lost in the first place. And then go from there. Because that's where it all started for us. The amount of weight we lost. Give ourselves a pat on the back. Don't worry about, well, I might regain it or any of the things that you're thinking. Just pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a win. You lost all that weight in the first place, and that's brilliant. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, well, again,
It's a great
put your
place for them
attention
to
on
start.
the wins.
Yeah.
Put your attention on what you want, not
Yeah.
what you don't want. So if your attention is on the fear of putting the weight back on, well, it's likely
gonna
that's
be
going to
fearful.
happen because that's where your attention is.
Yeah.
So get your attention on the fact that you're going to stay looking your ideal weight,
Yeah.
looking the way you do, feeling the way you do. And no matter what other people are reacting, no matter what they're doing, just feel great about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on to it. And if you're thinking, well, that's selfish, so be it. Because, what's really selfish is if you said to somebody, why are you upset that I've lost all this weight? Well, now you're so happy and you're doing this and you're doing that and you don't help me like you used to do and you don't do this and you don't do that. And probably they're not feeling
That's
as good.
selfish, isn't it?
That's selfish, exactly right. Yeah. And ultimately, they've got their own habits of thinking
Yeah.
that they've got to deal with.
Yeah.
So maybe they used to feel good around you because you made them feel thin.
Absolutely.
And now you don't.
Yeah.
So it's their problem, not yours. And again, all this stuff, this is really, really important. This is so key. All of this stuff, I can talk to clients all day long, but that's just information. The true transformation comes from when they start to get insights and when they start to get results. So something simple like CYT, and they say to me after a week, I got to catch myself thinking, and I was thinking this in the morning, and I realised I wake up and I'm already worried about the day. I'm already fearful. I'm already thinking, oh, I've got to drive to work. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to do that. Well, if that's how you start your day, how's it going to be?
Yeah.
So now we can tweak that. What would be a better way to start the day? What can we do that make us feel good? You know, and sometimes it is getting up half an hour earlier, and going and having a shower, or getting on the treadmill. It doesn't matter. There's millions of things it can be. We need to find out what it is for that person.
Absolutely.
And then you start to tweak it and tweak it and tweak it.
Yeah.
And everything changes. So I like to talk about these tiny little raindrops of activity become a tsunami of action.
Oh, lovely.
It's these tiny little raindrops, bit by bit by bit. And they're achievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get the big dramatic change with time.
And the main thing is to try and find things that work for you, not the things that other people tell you to do.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know, if somebody's telling you to go and pound away on a treadmill, you think, oh, all right then, you'll try it once. You absolutely hate it. You probably fall off. You can't breathe. You're absolutely sweating like mad. And you just hate the experience. It's not for you. Not yet anyway.
Yeah.
So go for a walk instead. Because when you're on a treadmill, that's what you're doing. You're walking.
Yeah.
So go for a walk instead along the river or in a field or something.
Yeah.
Find what's right for you, because then you can do it again.
I just want to share with you and the audience that Engage, which is what I teach my clients, is a framework. So it doesn't list all the tools and you must do this, this and this, but there are 6 stages that you need to do, and how we achieve them is different for every individual. So I come to every call completely and utterly open. I have no preconceptions. I have no idea how the call's going to go. There are stages that I like to take them through if they're on like a year's training, but I come to the call completely and utterly open. So Engage, and I'll share it with the audience, so I'm not hiding anything from already heard Evolve, and that's just a framework, because you need to see that you've got to change your thinking. And you can go as high up there as you like. You don't have to go all the way to the top. As long as you're happy, and if you're now changing your life and crafting your life and creating the life of your dreams, just get to self-recognition, self-regulation. Job done.
Yeah.
But if you want more, we go higher. Then the next one is Nirvana, which is your compelling future. So life without suffering. Then next is grace. This is really important, because grace is about being in a state of grace. And that's because lots and lots of coaches will help you work out your passion and your purpose, and so you think that's going to be the answer. I know where I'm going now. But what happens is that when people know where they want to be, they get upset that they're not there yet. And this became really, really clear to me. A couple of years ago, I got called by some American company, and they wanted me to help them with midlife crisis for fellas. And I didn't realize it could be as young as 40. But what happens is, and it's same for ladies too, midlife crisis is really about they've got an idea in their head where they should be in life. So I thought I'd be here at 40. I should be over there, but I'm here. And the bigger that gap is from where they are to where they want to be, the more pain that they are in. And so then they go and do the crazy things we all hear about. They went out and bought the sports car or got a young girlfriend because they thought that would fill the gap, and it didn't, because it's inside. The issues are in here. So ultimately, grace is about being happy now, moving towards your nirvana, moving towards your dream life.
I was going to ask what you meant by grace, because when you first said it, I thought, is that a state of gratitude? But it's not.
It can be. Gratitude's good. That's a part of it. So it is actually an entire system that I teach the clients. Okay. But ultimately, state of grace is being completely and utterly happy in the now. Right. It's quite a famous term. In the now. Eckhart Tolle is big on all of that. So again, all of these books are brilliant, but that's only a little slither of the entire. Being happy in the now would be great, but then you think, well, what about my goals?
Yeah.
And then things go wrong. So I'll share a couple of things with you in a second. So we now know that we've got to evolve. We've got to change our way of thinking. We know where we want to go, and that's great to have a dream life and work toward it. But the key to success is be happy now. Then you're really winning. I'm happy, and that's where I'm heading for.
Yeah.
Great. So then the next step is action. Got to have action. So one is action plan. So I teach clients how to create their action plan, all the little micro steps that we talked about. And then we've got to take action. If we don't take action, we're not going anywhere, right? If you just lay in bed going, if you're saying I'm going to be happy, maybe you could do that in bed. But if you want to go make more money, you want to go have a holiday, you want to spend time with the kids, you got to get out of bed. And in all honesty, being a spirit is great, but we have a human experience because we can go do things. Yeah, you can get up, you can drink water, you can drink coffee, you can go to the beach, you can swim. So being a human, having a human experience is amazing.
I went on years and years and years worth of diets that only ever happened in my head.
All right.
Years and years of them. And yet I felt like I was on a diet every day of my life because in my head I was.
Yeah.
The fact that I wasn't acting out those diets didn't even register back then. So you're absolutely right. You have to act.
Yeah, I promise you, it's not ethereal. It's not just woo-woo. It's not out there in the, law of attraction type thing. No. This is all based in science. Yeah. And so once we're taking action, that's great. And the next one is grit. So it's resilience. Why? Because lots of people think, once you got this system mastered, life's a doddle. It's all going to be like A to B, perfectly straight line. I promise you things happen to me. I set an example. Could be at the lights and someone drives a car into me. Could get burgled. Yeah, all sorts of things could happen. They're events. We have no control over events. They're going to come along no matter how good you get at this stuff. Yeah. What does change is the way you respond to it to get the outcome that you want. That's the key to success. So grit is really all about giving you that resilience, and ultimately it reminds you to get back to a state of grace that you're happy now, moving towards your goal. And then after grit is education, because you never stop learning. And in fact, they're quite famous quote, I'll get it wrong now, but the more you learn, the more you realise you know nothing.
Knowledge is power as well.
Yeah, and you just keep learning, and it's great. I love learning. I often go down a rabbit hole to find out new information, neuroscience, epigenetics, all this stuff's really intriguing and useful, and I love all that information because it helps me provide evidence to clients so that they believe it. And the faster I can get them to experience what I'm talking about, and it is that experience that happens. The minute they experience it, they get a light bulb moment, they go, oh my goodness, this is true, the faster they're going to get the success that they want in their life. Yeah,
absolutely. And what about you? So you've just come back from Mauritius. An amazing holiday in Mauritius. Yeah. So what's next for you? When I say what's next, I know you're not going to be stopping engaged. That's what you do. But anything else? Any wins for you? Anything that you're up to next?
I've got plans. Funnily enough, somebody asked me this just recently, and you talk about goals and your nirvana. Well, I like to think I'm living my nirvana. I say this isn't my job. This is my joy. And so I don't specifically have goals, but I've got lots of projects on. So book will be coming out shortly.
Oh, great.
That's almost finished. I thought it would be finished by now, but enjoyed the holiday, got lots of things going on, put a big extension on the house. So lots of things getting away. But hey, what's the rush? So I'll get the book done. And then the next thing is an app.
Have you got a name for the book yet?
Engage with Success.
Oh, it's called Engage with Success.
Same as the company. Everything's Engage with Success.
Oh, well, we'll look out for that then.
Yeah. And the app is important. This is really, really a passion for me. Obviously, technology has taken over. AI is huge right now. Yeah. But more importantly for me, it's not just, I'm trying to leverage technology. It's the fact that if I can help clients with a call once a month, I know already that I can help them even more if I have a call twice a month. And when I speak to clients once a week, then they accelerate their success. So the whole idea of an app is that I'm with them all the time. So every day they can be reminded to catch themselves thinking. They can be reminded of tools, and they can start to add to it day after day after day. So it's very easy to say, I gave you an example, what's CYT? And 2 weeks later, so they haven't done it. Yeah. But if I'm in the palm of their hand, I can remind them to do these things day in and day out. So I'm really excited to do that. You'd also said that the breath work had helped you. So a big part of the app would be breath work. And there's lots of apps out there, but ultimately this would be the entire Engage system and all of its tools on an app. And of course, that way it's very, very affordable too. Yeah. So currently, lots of people say to me, I can't afford your coaching. I won't say the price, but I can't afford your coaching, Paul. And I had more people say that than ever before last year. And so, in fact, because of that, I started doing free coaching on Tuesday nights. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m, I do free coaching. It's community. It's not as powerful because it's informational and people are learning, and I do have conversations with other people, and you listen in and you will grow, and people thank me all the time for it. However, the real transformation comes on the one-to-one calls. Why? Because I'm working out what your filter is, what your belief system is, what your limiting beliefs are, and I can get through to you much, much faster.
But if people want to start out by attending your Tuesday night sessions, how will they find it?
engagewithsuccess.com.
Right.
There's a couple of buttons to go to. So if they click on coaching, it'll be under there as community. And the community is the free coaching. Just need to register and they'll get invites. And you can come as often as you like. Or so I've got some clients that come week after week after week, almost religiously. And then I've got some that just pop in and out when they're having a hard time.
Yeah.
There's no expectation of anyone. It's there to be used. It's my joy to give it away for free and help.
And we will put all of these links in the
you're welcome to.
podcast notes as well.
And then the other tab that's worth clicking on is resources. And on there, I've put all of my favourite books, the ones that I think are most empowering. So I've got two sets of books. There's modern books and classic books. So this mindset stuff has been around now. Well, it's been around for thousands of years. So I've even got the green tablet on there. You know, the emerald tablets?
The emerald tablets.
So they're even on there.
Wow.
Because this stuff has been around for years. I'm talking millennia. And you might think, really? It's been around for millennia. The Bible, there's lots of different ways to translate the Bible. The reason it's storytelling is because it's trying to get, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
There's all these metaphors to make you go, ah. So because it's metaphors, it's timeless. Whereas if it was written in the style of the day, 2,000 years ago, we'd all be going, I don't get it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
There's
So
lots
are you
of classic
saying
books
that we
on there.
can buy these books through your website?
Oh,
or
don't
we
buy it,
could...
not through me, but they're there as reference.
Oh, I
And then
see.
you can go on Amazon, or I'm a big fan of going to secondhand bookshops.
Yeah, okay.
There's loads, so I won't
Yeah.
promote any. But I have my favourites, and just get secondhand copies.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's classic books and there's modern books. Then I've got classic teachers and modern teachers. And then I've got films, which is really documentaries. So it's just really pointing people in a direction. So if like, what, I don't know what I should read. I don't know what I should listen to. There is so much information out there today. Again, it could be going down a rabbit hole. But if it helps somebody, if they're saying, I can't afford coaching, but I can afford a book for £6, then, hey, let's help you go in the right direction.
Yeah, but if you go down a rabbit hole, it's because you've chosen to go down a rabbit hole, and you need to be aware of that by catching yourself thinking.
Yeah. And a rabbit hole could be the way forward for you.
Yeah.
You might come across the piece of information that you needed and go, I get it now.
Yeah, yeah. And it's very true. As long as you are in control of your choices, I've learned now that, yes, I can overwhelm myself. Years ago, somebody said to me, I created my own chaos. And I genuinely did not know what he meant by that. But I do now.
Yeah.
I do now. I can see it clearly.
That's so important, because there'll be people at home right now thinking, well, what they're saying is it's not really true, because the world is affecting me. But actually, once you come to the understanding that you're affecting the world, you've realized that, you were creating that chaos.
Yeah.
And that's so empowering. And that really, again, it comes down to catch yourself thinking. Once you realize it's your thoughts, your thinking, your feelings, your beliefs that are creating all of those things, just like someone saying something to you and you get all upset by it, somebody else wouldn't.
Yeah.
And a joke, that's offensive, where someone else is laughing their pants
Laughing
off.
their heads off, absolutely, absolutely. I remember, I'm trying to think who it was that said this, but they basically said every single thing that happens in your life is your own fault. And I thought, what? How is that possible? But actually it is true, because going back to your E+R = O, everything that happens in your life is it's like a whole system of events. The way you've chosen, that's the critical word here, is choice, chosen to react to that event, and that has then created your outcome. So whatever is going on in your life is your fault, because it's about the choices you make. And that sounds harsh, but I'm afraid that's true, right?
Yeah, I teach exactly the same, because Jack taught me that. Jack Canfield. If you don't know Jack, look up Jack Canfield.
With a C.
Yeah, with a C. And the first, he's got a book called The Success Principles. And I think it's the first one in there. Take 100% responsibility for everything that's going on in your life. So I try to soften that with new clients. And I say, take 100% responsibility for the results you're creating in your life. And that they all right, I can get that.
Yeah.
They get their head around it and they're happy to move forward with it. But later, as they work their way up the mountain, they realize it is absolutely 100% everything that's going on. Why? We've already discussed it, so I'm happy to say it. It's because everything is a mirror, a reflection of what's going on in your head and your heart.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking and feeling it, you're going to get that as the result.
You're going to get it. Yeah, very true. Wow, this has been wonderful. Have we missed anything?
I don't know what questions you wanted to ask, but I'm quite happy with everything I've shared.
Well, let's put it this way. I did have some questions for you, but you have naturally answered every single one of them.
Woohoo!
So I'm like, oh, okay then. Yeah.
For me...
I mean, only if there is in any other way you feel that you can help the Kiyo community specifically to take their first steps. But
I think the big one really would be identity. You know, if you're thinking, I can't help it, this is the way I am, or if you're still thinking about your old identity, then you're very likely to go back to it. And so if you've been on that famous weight journey where you lost it and you put it back on, you lost it, you put it back on, you lost it, you put it, it's because your identity is still the old one and you just think, well, that's the way I am.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be. You can change yourself anytime you want. And so now if you get excited about your new identity and decide that's who I am and become committed to it, make a decision, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be, then everything can change.
That is a great thing to leave my listeners with. Thank you so much. That's brilliant. Paul, I can't thank you enough. You've been absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure that you guys have been able to take loads away from this afternoon or this evening or this morning, whenever you're listening. But remember, all of the information that Paul has shared with us so generously today, all the links are going to be in the show notes, so you can reach out to him if you'd like to find out more, if you'd like to work with Paul, it'll all be in there. Thank you once again for listening.